Let me tell you, if you're a video business and you are literally grinding day in, day out, chasing projects, chasing clients, feeling like you are just in hustle culture, I can't tell you how damaging that can be for you, not only from a creative point of view, but actually from a financial point of view. Being in the hustle culture is actually exhausting, and it can actually make your soul feel very, very down. What I'm going to talk to you about in this particular video, how can we do less work and make more money, and more into creative, fulfilling, profitable culture, which I call the 500K brand story creator. And this is really going to be about why less hustle means more money for you. I've got a lot to talk about this, and this is really down to, I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, I had this conversation with a friend of mine that was on the beach, and he said to me, he says, Michael, how are you doing less work, yet you're getting paid 10 times more money than me? And I think what it comes down to is the what we're selling versus what we're doing, meaning time versus value. I was very big on selling sales assets, things that were going to help the client generate more money. And I'm going to speak to you about the structure of the business. I'm going to go over a few other things, but in a world of videographer, there is this myth that more hustle equals more success. But what if I told you that working less could actually lead to earning more? This isn't about cutting corners, and that's a big thing. In fact, it's probably more about deeper work or delivering crappy work. It's about working smarter and not harder. Today, I'm going to share with you how I transformed my business from a constant grind that had me on the brink of burnout. I literally felt overworked, underpaid, exhausted. It was probably some of the worst moments in my life when I didn't figure this stuff out. I mean, I was obsessed with trying to figure it out, but it was a very damp time for me. I just wasn't making enough money, and I wanted to continue doing it. I had this burning desire to build, to do this type of work and have my own business. And it was hard for me as well, because I'd set up a live from Yellow Pages, and we're going to talk to you about that in a second. I was making 6 figures a year, so I had to make off the bat to keep up with my mortgage repayments and everything. I built that life, and I stepped into the business from that point. So I was being broke to streamline my operation. This is the turnaround. I consistently generating between 30 and 100K projects. This journey wasn't just about increasing revenue. It was about reclaiming my time and rediscovering my passion for my craft without sacrificing my bottom line. And it is about going after your passion. Your passion is the most important thing. So my journey started as a visual storytelling. It began about 15 years ago. I was tired of being stuck in my 9 to 5. I was doing a 9 to 5 job. It was a great job. In fact, it was one of the better jobs in media. I was selling placements in Yellow Pages. I was on about 6 figures. I looked after about $1.5 million worth of ad spend. I worked in both the UK and in Australia. It was a great job, but I knew it wasn't going anywhere. And Google was just around the corner, and I could feel that the pendulum shift was shifting on how people were going to search for products and services. So that led me to building my own agency. So I took the leap and I started to create my entrepreneur journey. It was one of the craziest things I could have done. The deck was massively stacked against me to succeed. Just like anyone starting out, it was tricky. I had not got a lot of skills. I initially started doing marketing services and then fell in love with storytelling. I mean, it took a lot of emotional toll on me. It was sleepless nights. I was riddled in anxiety. I remember constantly thinking about, when am I going to be able to pay the next bill? That in itself was very pressing. And I hope some of you that are going through that will watch this video all the way through. But even when I was sort of making 10 to 15K, I still felt a lot of this energy, because I always felt like 10K was just paying everyone else except myself. I couldn't upgrade the car, I couldn't upgrade the apartment, I couldn't really go on that many holidays after I'd paid for my editor and I paid for this and paid for that. I was still feeling like I was very much trapped in a hamster wheel. And I do remember those nights vividly. I did suffer a lot with anxiety. It was crazy time, because I was really fighting it, and I had children, I had people that were counting on me, convinced that when enough of my midnight oil was burnt up and enough hours were hustled into the business, I'd finally be ahead. But in truth, it left the business and the relationships around me on life support and hanging by a thread. I lost a lot of relationships over building my business because I just was a freak. I just was so focused on understanding and sort of unlocking the path to being able to get the systems to be able to actually get a profitable business. And this is what I really want to sort of talk to you about. The pitfalls of hustle culture. The hustle culture glorifies consistent work, leading a life riddled with anxiety and burnt out and lost work. You just end up feeling overworked. You're constantly working. You think that that's just the way it is. And there's a lot of things online that are promoting that, like constantly never sleep, always working, always doing something. And I think a man should be on his purpose. Like, I'm a massive believer that a man should be taking care of his family, should be on his purpose, should be on the grind. I agree with it, but not to the point where it's pointless or it's squandering time. The constant grind wears down away mental health, relationships, and productivity. What I do find with the hustle culture is that it will lead lead to burnout, cycle, and creativity. Studies have shown 50 hours. No one in their own business, in their own mind, are working 50 hours. But if you're not getting sleep, this can actually have an effect on the creativity. Number 2, overworking leads to undercharging, and this is very true. Many videographers take on too much work and lower their rates for fear of missing out. However, it creates a day rate hamster wheel. And for those of you that know my work in terms of this industry and about videographers, filmmakers, you will know about day rate hamster wheel. I'm selling time for money instead of selling impact, which impact is based around value, fueling the cycle of work, overload, and undervaluing time. Time is really the only true asset that you have. Saying yes to every project, not having a minimum budget, and accepting every job, especially low-paying job, and lowering your perceived value in your own eyes, because that's very important. Yes, we've got the problem with clients looking at you with less value, but if you start looking at that, then you're fucked, because now you're thinking you're not worth what you think you're worth. And you've got to protect your self-belief, because I always say, whatever you believe, you are right. So no is the most powerful word you can add to your vocabulary, and it will make you more money than a constant hustle and saying yes. So the solution, I started to become a videographer or a creative director of value. Personal skill set. First thing I did, what was I good at? As a video business owner, we should regularly evaluate the highlights, the skills and offers that are most valuable to the client and our niche. Now, this is a big point that I want to make, and I do this with a lot in my 500k brand story with my partners. I always say to them, we need to figure out what is valuable to the client, not to what is us. Yes, we love the science of color grading. Yes, we love the art of pacing and editing to music and making visual poetry, but we have to understand what is the value to the client. That is a fundamental thing, and it's such a foolish mistake to make by going in and just talking to the client about the creative technician side of it. They want to hear about the creative direction and particularly have an impact on their client acquisition infrastructure. Number 2, being a specialist versus a generalist. I specialized in brand stories. You could be specializing in commercials, in documentaries. You could even specialize in safety videos, but you need to pick also an industry, because that will get you the top 40% attention. But if you go in as a generalist, a jack of all trades, you're only ever really going to pick up or even get the attention of 2%. I can tell you now, affluent clients want to work with specialized people. They don't want to work with people that are generalized. If you've got a heart problem, that's a severe problem. You're not going to a general doctor for that. You're going to a heart specialist. So being a specialist, clients pay more for specialized services, and that is a big factor, because again, if you're charging more and working less, meaning if you're doing deeper work, you're also getting paid to put really good portfolio work out into the market, and that makes a lot of sense. But the trick is you got to know how to sell that by obviously becoming a specialist first, understanding that specializing in a certain genre, in a certain industry is where a lot of this magic gets made. Number 3, make your valuable known. Highlighting your unique strengths that clients take for granted will allow you to charge more and attract high value clients. You want to be seen as an expert, as someone that is an authority and has credibility, and you want to let it be known. We need to eat our own dog food. If you don't know your value and your skill set and the efforts you put in, your clients won't either. The next thing we need to do, this is what the first step that I did is I wanted to work out, how do I become valuable? What sparked this for me was a quote by Albert Einstein. He says, become a man of value rather than a man of success. And this is where I realized that success will follow straight after this. If you can first and foremost do an audit on yourself by looking at what are you as valuable. Are you worth 100 grand a project, 50k a project? And that's the question that you've really got to ask yourself. The second thing that I did was talking about streamlining my services. So the power of specialization, creating packages to maximize efficiency. Your offer should be refined into a set packages. Now, typically you're not going to be able to do this straight off the bat, particularly when you come into the 500k program. The first thing we're going to get you to do is do 5 projects. We need to look at patterns. We're looking for insights. Can we see a pattern emerging of something that we can offer that is valuable, that people are willing to pay for? And we do that through our process, and I'll do a future video on this insight sort of loop. We kind of wash the offer, and your offer is everything. We say offer like it's something off the shelf. It's not. A lot of the stuff that you do watching this, particularly if you're doing between sort of 5 and 15,000 a month, you're an artist, right? A lot of it comes through your intuition, but creating an offer that's specialized is where a lot of the magic happens, because it allows you to build simple systems around, so you can deliver no matter if you did drop off the face of the planet and someone else had to do it. If there's a system that helps them, and that's how good your systems need to be, so that anyone can do it. But if you have that, you have a structure, a package, you have a formula, you have a protocol, you have a methodology. These things are really, really important. Number 3, value-based pricing. This is the fastest way to escape the hustle trap. This is how you're going to get out of the hustle culture. It's charging on results,
and valuing what you deliver. It's not about selling time. It's getting out of that human tripod trap. It's about showing the client that you have ideas, you are here for impact, that you're here to charge based on the brand messaging, the differentiation, clarifying their message, simplifying their message, helping their message be more converting, have more of an emotional connection, raising the perceived value, raising trust. These are the things that you're selling on. You're not selling based on time. And that was the next thing that I did. Number 4, saying no to low value opportunities. They are ripping me away from anything that I could be doing. I wouldn't want to be spending my time working on a project that's actually good, because 1, I'm going to get paid higher, 2, I'm going to enjoy it, 3, I'm just going to have a better type of client, right? I don't want to work with low value opportunities because typically they don't pay well, they complain, they need it, they're stressed, and so you want to stay away from them and learn the art of saying no, I'm not doing it. The next thing I did is leverage technology, and now we live in the world of AI. So this is just getting obviously very interesting. To show you what I did do, I had a delivery system for efficiency, getting your products and services to customers. It covers ordering, process, logistics, and customer communication. Here's a robust delivery system. So efficiency, streamlining the process from order to fulfillment, conceptualization to finish, reducing delays and errors, and just not producing good work. It really helps. Consistency ensures orders meet quality standards. Again, customer satisfaction, you want to make sure that people are enjoying it. Build systems so that there is an experience for the client as well. Creating a brand film or a piece of content, it's a really big deal for them. We do it all day, every day, but we don't really recognize the fact of that. In my business, I utilize, and these are just some other things like scalability, support, increase order volumes, and market expansion. But basically here, what I'm saying, in my business, I utilize Slack for communication, Google Drive, Zoom are some of the key components. So Slack was managed for all my communication with clients. So I handled all my projects in there. Google Suites was how I store my documents, pre-production, etc. Zoom was for just communication. This was for meetings and client calls, especially sales calls, because I was a big believer, and I'll talk about sales now, but I was a big believer that like packing up and driving somewhere can take up to about an hour. But you can see 3 or 4 people on a Monday. And I knew a guy, an author, his name was Neil Strauss. He was working on the game. He said something that he would only see clients on a Monday. He would just back to back see them. He wouldn't drive and see them. He would only see them on Zoom because of the time factor. And he would just line up Mondays as his time, because from Tuesday to Friday he was creating, and that was that. Sales, we again use Zoom for that reason. Underdoc gives us structure to contractual agreements. Stripe is fantastic for that reoccurring revenue. So if you're charging a client $5,000 to $15,000 a month for content, it's just going to keep coming out of their account. You're not chasing, you're not having to keep sending an invoice every time. It just handles it for you on automation. And GHL is the system we use to integrate the customer management. So your leads and automation, there's so much stuff you can do in that system. It's big. You want to make sure you've got volume before you invest in that one. Lead gen, again, CRM, we use Go High Level. Marketing automation tools, we use Active Campaign for email. This is fantastic. And if you're watching this and you're sitting around 5 to 15, I highly recommend getting a newsletter going, because this is how you can show your work off very fast. One button, and if you've got a list, say 5,000 or even 100 people, like just even 50 brands, you're pressing one button and boom, it's all going out. New project release, write it in a cool way, and it really is a good system. Active Campaign is one of my favorite for automating email sequences and tracking integrations. Lead generation platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. This is what we use just for marketing. Landing pages are great for offers. So I had an offer for $14.97. It was like a minimal viable product where I would do their pre-production. It was a good way for me to introduce myself, show them that I had the ideas, and I used a thing called lead pages. And any one of these are good. Don't get too caught up in these particulars. I used to watch people like myself doing this, and I used to go, oh, I've got to get PandaDoc now. I've got to get this. You don't. Just got to have systems for the things that you need to work. Content, I used editors. I used Canva for the thumbnails. I used CapCut when it was just like mobile phone stuff. This is another major trap that filmmakers do. They think that they can't put content out unless it's an award-winning film, especially if it's of you. No, you thinking like that. Stop it. Just put stuff out. It's your thoughts. People are forgiving if the message is good. I purposely I do like these types sort of screen recording videos so that people can just feel that I'm just trying to get the message to you. You can go to michaelhansen.tv and look at my work, like if you want to. But this is about me getting it out in a very human way, so I can just, I can look at what I'm writing and get it to you. There's no reason why you can't shoot a mobile phone, go walking the dog to the park and just drop a thought of the day and use CapCut to cut it up. Captions is just for the title management. After I did this, like leveraging the technology, which is a big lesson in itself, I started to look at team. Now, team is obviously the big thing, and I'm going to end this video. The two biggest people you need in your life is, one is a virtual assistant for invoicing, your lead generation. And the good thing about us, we take people in for the 500K brand story creator. We encourage them to bring a virtual assistant with them or get one, because they're very inexpensive. You can spend $5 to $1,000 US a month, and you're literally going to have that person doing your lead generation or your invoicing or your admin. Even sometimes if they're good, you can get them to do some of the producing and organizing shoots and doing some of the client liaison, like talking to the client. It's very, very powerful. The second person that you need is definitely an editor, because your editor, you don't want to be stuck editing too long. And I know it's hard for some of you to let go of that, but you need to let go of it, because this is how you can be more about conceptualization, ideation, building clients, doing sales meetings, taking clients out for dinner, and let your editor work the thing. Just make sure you find a good one and work out a deal where they can grow as a human within inside your business. And the thing is just collaborating with other professionals and creating systems that are seamless so that you can sort of delegation. Asana's probably my favorite. Trello was good. We started on Trello. I still would use today, but Asana would probably be better. Now, some of you watching this are probably interested in potentially working directly with us. We do have a program called the 500K Brand Story Creator. For those of you that are at around 8 to 15,000 and you really wanted to scale up to 50K a month, then it's a good time to chat with us. There should be some links down below this video. Just click and book in with us. For those of you that are struggling and need extra help, head over to our free community we've launched called the Growth Academy for Filmmakers. We do weekly lives there. We've got a bunch of content in there for free, and you can get the link down below. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like. The idea is to go after clients that are not in sink and swim mode. You really want to go after clients that are affluent. Solve rich people's problems. You will get rich in the process. All right, thank you so much for watching.